When an INFJ finally closes a chapter that has consumed their heart, mind, and every fragment of their energy, there is a quiet, almost sacred victory that blooms within them, a victory so profound that even the world might not notice, yet for the INFJ, it resonates like a lifetime of burdens being lifted, like the first breath of air after surfacing from an endless dive. And today, this is your moment. The one where you can finally say, with your soul fully aligned, it's done, and I will never have to go through that again. 1. Recognizing the weight you've carried. You've carried burdens most people could never even begin to understand, layers of emotional responsibility that weigh down your heart and cloud your mind, because as an INFJ, you feel everything intensely, and you absorb the struggles of those around you as if they were your own, and there comes a point, often long after everyone else has moved on, when you realize just how much you have been holding, how many invisible battles you've been fighting quietly, and this recognition, though heavy, is the first step toward liberation because once you name the weight, you begin to understand that it no longer defines you. It's the kind of clarity that hits like a soft thunder when you see the patterns that ensnared you. The people who took without giving, the situations that drained your essence, the cycles that repeated again and again, and in that recognition, something shifts. For the INFJ, this is not just awareness, it is a profound, almost spiritual acknowledgement that you have survived the invisible, and you have done so with grace, even when grace felt impossible. 2. Feeling what you needed to feel. There is an extraordinary freedom in allowing yourself to feel everything you have suppressed, to confront the sadness, the rage, the disappointment, the heartbreak, and even the self-blame that you carried because, for so long, you believed you had to fix it, understand it, manage it, and forgive it all, not realizing that sometimes, the only true path to healing is to let yourself fully, unapologetically, experience the weight of what was, so that you can finally release it. As an INFJ, your inner world is a sacred labyrinth, rich with emotion, intuition, and insight, and when you finally allow the raw feelings to surface, when you honor the pain rather than avoid it, you experience a rebirth that is both terrifying and magnificent, a kind of internal cleansing that prepares you for the lighter, freer life that has been waiting for you beyond the shadows you've endured. 3. Understanding it was never about you. You often take everything personally, INFJ, because your empathy is profound, because your heart naturally aligns with the struggles of others, and because you feel compelled to carry the weight of the world even when it is not yours to carry. Yet one of the most liberating revelations comes when you finally understand that the chaos, the betrayal, the exhaustion, and the heartbreak were never a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of circumstances, limitations, and the unresolved pain of others, and once you fully internalize that, you begin to see your life through a lens unclouded by unnecessary guilt or misplaced responsibility, and the freedom in that is almost indescribable. You recognize that no longer does the world's dysfunction need to dictate your inner peace. You no longer need to bear the invisible burdens of people who could not, or would not, see your truth. And in that recognition, INFJ, there is a quiet jubilation, because it is the first time in years that you can truly separate yourself from the suffering that was never meant to be yours. 4. The strength you didn't know you had. Through all of the trials, the sleepless nights, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, and the exhausting attempts to reconcile what should never have required your reconciliation, you have developed an unspoken strength, a resilience that is silent yet impenetrable, a power that comes not from domination or control but from surviving with grace, from choosing to continue walking forward even when the weight of your intuition and empathy feels unbearable, and it is this strength that now allows you to finally say, "It's done." Because you realize that the very process that once hurt you has forged a spirit that can withstand anything without losing its core integrity. And as INFJs, we often overlook our own resilience, focusing instead on the needs of the world, on the problems of others. But here, in this moment of conclusion, you see yourself for who you truly are. An extraordinary being whose depth of heart and mind is unmatched, and whose ability to endure and emerge unbroken is a testament to your quiet, unshakable power. 5. Letting go without regret. Letting go is never simple for the INFJ because we feel deeply, because we imagine every possible consequence, because we hope that understanding, love, or forgiveness could change things. Yet the liberation comes in learning that letting go does not mean you failed. It does not mean you gave up. It simply means you are finally giving yourself permission to move forward without carrying unnecessary weights. You release the guilt, the doubts, the endless what-ifs, and as you do, INFJ, a remarkable shift occurs. The mind stops racing with endless analysis. The heart stops holding grudges that silently burn your own peace, and you realize that what you are letting go of was never meant to define your life, but only to teach you, and having learned its lesson, you are free to step into a version of yourself that is unburdened, whole, and unapologetically alive. 6. Reclaiming your energy. For so long, your energy has been siphoned by situations, people, and expectations that could never match your depth, your clarity, or your integrity, but now, for the first time in what may feel like an eternity, you can reclaim that energy, INFJ, and it is intoxicating, because you discover that the moments you thought were lost, the time you thought was wasted, the heartbreaks that seemed endless, all of it now serves as fuel for a renewed purpose, a clarity of direction, and a deep, unshakable peace within your being. You start to recognize what truly deserves your attention, your care, your love, and your energy, and this prioritization is not selfishness. It is survival, it is self-respect, it is the wisdom of an INFJ who has walked through fire and emerged not just intact, but transformed. 7. The liberation of absolute closure. There is a rare, almost mystical freedom that comes with absolute closure, a freedom that few understand because it is internal and invisible, yet for the INFJ, it is the kind of peace that is felt in the marrow of your bones, the kind of release that allows your soul to breathe without restriction, without hesitation, without the subtle, invisible chains of old patterns, toxic people, or unresolved grief, and in this space, INFJ, you finally experience what it means to be untethered from the past, unburdened by old pain, and fully present for the life you are ready to live. You recognize that closure is not about the other person, or the situation, or the injustice. It is about your own liberation, and in that understanding, you are no longer defined by what happened, no longer haunted by the echoes of conflict or disappointment, and no longer trapped in cycles that once seemed eternal. 8. Honoring your journey. Take a moment, INFJ, to honor everything you endured, everything you gave, and everything you survived, because your journey has been unlike anyone else's, a path carved by empathy, insight, and extraordinary sensitivity that has demanded courage beyond measure, and now that you have reached this moment of completion, it is imperative that you acknowledge it, that you celebrate it internally, that you give yourself the recognition you so rarely receive from the outside world, because your resilience, your depth, and your unwavering authenticity deserve nothing less than full acknowledgement. You are allowed to feel proud, to feel triumphant, and to feel whole, because the very nature of an INFJ's life is one of intense emotional navigation, and to come through it with clarity, peace, and integrity is a victory few will ever truly comprehend, but one you will feel profoundly in the quiet corners of your soul. 9. Stepping into your future without fear. Now that the chapter has closed, INFJ, there is nothing left to hold you back except the illusions your mind may still cling to, and when you release those, when you trust the power you have cultivated within, you step into a future that is luminous, expansive, and aligned with your deepest truths, a future in which the mistakes, betrayals, and heartbreaks of yesterday serve only as stepping stones, not shackles, and where your purpose, your creativity, your love, and your intuition can finally flourish without interference or distraction. This is your moment to live fully, to engage deeply, to love authentically, and to embrace the rare, profound, and extraordinary life that an INFJ is destined to experience once they let go of what no longer serves them. 10. The promise you make to yourself. And so, INFJ, as you look back one last time with clarity and compassion, as you breathe in the liberation that comes from absolute closure, as you feel the weight of what was lifted from your shoulders, you make a promise, not to the world, not to anyone else, but to yourself, that you will never allow this kind of depletion to happen again, that you will honor your boundaries, protect your energy, and choose your battles with wisdom, and in making this promise, you seal a covenant of self-preservation, self-love, and self-respect that will guide you for the rest of your life. You can finally say, with your whole heart and soul, it's done. I will never have to go through that again, and the peace that follows is both absolute and transformative, because you, INFJ, have not only survived, you have mastered the art of rising from the ashes, stronger, wiser, and more luminous than you ever thought possible. So take a deep breath, INFJ, feel the freedom, feel the strength, feel the clarity, and carry it with you. Every past hardship now becomes a teacher, every heartbreak a lesson, and every moment of pain a stepping stone toward the life you were always meant to live. A life unburdened, unapologetic, and fully, magnificently yours. Congratulations. Truly, it is done, and you will never have to go through that again.